Hey guys, welcome back to Genis-Vell Custom. So today we're going to do sort of a garage kit review / work in progress video. This is a Bushy Collector's Genis-Vell Captain Mar-Vell garage kit, and I'm actually happy that I get a chance to work on one. So long story short, Bushy put this up for order a while back, and a bunch of my friends were like, hey, you know, Bushy Collector's putting it up, you want to get in on it, it looks really cool. They sent me pictures, and I was going to jump on it, but then I decided, you know what? I'm not really feeling it. I already own, you know, the Bone Designs, which is on the right. It's pretty much the same thing. It's just, you know, 1/4 scale more detail. He comes with this huge base that's kind of like a wrecked ship, and it really doesn't tell much to Genis, like his history. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to pass on it. I'm not going to get it because I already had the Prime 1 Green Lantern statue on pre-order, where I'm converting that into my own Genis-Vell Grail. That's kind of like an action pose. So I passed on this item, but I still really wanted to paint this item up. So a friend of mine that I do work for, what we do is I do a bunch of items for him, and then I meet him halfway going up North Jersey, and then what he does is he takes those items and he passes off new items to me. So he said he had a Genis-Vell Captain Mar-Vell from Bushy. He's like, you want to paint it up? He says, he knows I'm a huge fan. So I was like, yeah, I would love to paint one up just so I could do with it. But I was like, are you open up to any tweaks? Because I remember when Bushy released the images, there were some things I wasn't feeling about it, I didn't like. And he's like, yeah, I want you to tweak some things anyway. I want you to make a new base. I was like, all right, cool. Let's I'll take this item on and we'll do it up. So what he did is he passed off the item to me, and he comes with change of hands. So his hands are out like this, and they hold a ball. I guess the idea is he's glowing power in his hand. If anything would have been cool is if they just kept the fists, but they made a second set that comes out with the magnets that's clear resin, and then you could just pretty much paint them yellow like the way they're supposed to. He really doesn't have like a ball glowing in his hands. If anything, his fists glow from the bands. That would have been cool. So that was one thing that he didn't want. He doesn't even want to bother. He's just like, you know what? I don't even want those hands on the statue. So I said, okay, not a big deal. So the other thing too is like the hair is removable, which is kind of weird. I think with short hair you would have just casted it with the head, but maybe for painting reasons, I'm not really sure. But I'm going to attach this anyway. You know, I'll probably be able to like fill in with some A's and then paint it separate. That's just kind of the way I like to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to change up, we're going to make a new base basically. The base that came with it I think was like really big, so he's going to like sell that off and get rid of it. So we're going to kind of create like a moon rock base like the Bone Design statue. So in the video what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to do it. So this is a dog dish. You get these at like Walmart. This one's too small, but I think the next size up might fit him, but it might be too big. I got to find out. So what we're going to do is we'll make a basic resin circle, and then what we'll do is we'll sculpt the moon rock onto it, and then we'll make a nice cleaner, smaller base. Now, if that base is too small or not work, what we could do is we could take foam core, and maybe what I could do is make an octagon, and then I could cut out square pieces here and hot glue them on, and then I could hit it with some mold release, and then make a base, and then like a half an inch or an inch, and then sculpt onto that. So we're gonna figure that out in the video. But some of the things that I mentioned is, you know, it would have been kind of cool if he was standing there instead of with the wrecked ship. Maybe it was a throwback to, you know, when he was Legacy. You know, maybe there's the chair when he was sitting in his chair talking about his father, like, you know, like a Star Trek thing. You could throw the chair next to him, and you could throw the jacket onto it. That throws back to Genis's history. Or maybe he's standing over, you know, his father's grave, which looks like that, you know, so maybe he's standing over Mar-Vell's grave, or maybe there's a throwback to Rick Jones because he's bonded with Rick Jones, you know, like something like this would have been cool, you know, Genis-Vell standing over and Rick Jones is hitting the bands and they're switching places. Something like that would have been pretty cool. So, but this is kind of like why I passed on it. I was like, alright, it's just a larger Bone Design statue, but it's still really cool. But some of the things we're going to change is the star on his chest. Now, a star on his chest is really wide. It's kind of like near the end of his series when the artist started having like, you know, free reign to do what they want before they turn him into Photon and then they killed him off. You could see like the stars were kind of more like wide like this in those series, and then in the back. So that's kind of what they followed, which I'm not really a fan of. I would rather have them follow like the Bone Designs star, or like that on his chest, which is kind of more like a Mar-Vell star. Or something like this star, which I'm probably going to do, where it's kind of like Mar-Vell's, but then they kind of made it a little bit longer down here. You know, so that's what we're going to do on this one. We're going to take out the star on the sides, and then what we're going to do is we're going to bring it down. So these two pieces will come off. We'll kind of bring him to a point, and then we'll bring this one down. Some of the other things too about it, now that I have it in person, is he's really ripped. Now Genis is kind of more of a slim guy. He's not really like, he's toned, but he's not ripped. So we have a lot of veins popping out on his arms, almost like he's just got done lifting or something, you know. So I don't know if we're gonna leave the veins in or not. I'm gonna talk to my friend, but we're gonna fill in the belly button, because right now it's almost like he's not even wearing a shirt. Like, we see all the muscles and we see a belly button. So you really wouldn't see a belly button if he's wearing like a spandex outfit, you know. So we're going to take that out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fill in the leg area around here and the crotch area. Because if he's got spandex on, he's not that deep and ripped. You're not going to see all these crevices. I'm not really a fan of like characters that are super ripped like this anyway, at least for me. You know, I understand a lot of guys out there and a lot of collectors like it when their superheroes are ripped like this, but I want to kind of go more toned where, you know, it's kind of like, you know, he's muscular, but you can feel like it's like spandex on his outfit. So that's where we're going to go with this. So it's going to be a lot of fun for me. We're going to change it up. But like, I don't know how many this statue he produced, so it doesn't really matter what we do on this one because it's not going on everyone's shelves. It's just going on my friend's shelf. So we're going to kind of have some fun with it and just tone him the way I think he should look, you know. So, and then I think the other thing too is what we'll do is we're going to fill up his back area too, because even though he's like got his arms back and he's clenched, without a shirt, you're going to see all this muscle. But with a shirt or a spandex, it's not going to be as deep. So we're going to fill in a little bit. Only because when I fill in with black area to get the shading, we want to see the star field. So we're going to fill in that a little bit, and then we'll fill in a little bit over in here too. But other than that, I think it's a cool kit. I just wish there was a little bit more of a storyline to him. Otherwise, I would have picked it up. But so the next step is we're going to get into the studio. We'll figure out what we're going to do with the base. Maybe nights when I have extra A's, I'll fill in some of these muscles. We'll get them filled in. And then we'll fix the star, and then we'll do a quick paint up on them. Okay, guys, I'm pretty much ready to start working on the base. I want to explain what I'm doing. Give you guys some heads up, maybe if you guys ever want to make your own bases too. So when I went over to Walmart and I was looking through the doggy dishes, there was nothing in scale. Everything was just too small. Even the largest one that has the give that you can pop out the base easier. So what I did is I went over to the baking goods area and I found this dish. This is basically like a non-stick pizza pie casserole type thing. It was like $4 or $5, so it works out pretty cool. Now I was checking out some of the other stuff. They had, you know, Tupperware dishes. They had you know, just your regular foil dishes that you buy for like 50 cents, you know. But everything I realized that would not be really heat resistant because resin gets very hot. So the Tupperware stuff might even melt, or the resin might bond to it to the point where you can't even get it out. And the foil stuff is all warped. Nothing is in a good, like, nice circles or squares. So I was like, screw it. And I didn't want to make a square base because I was worried that, or a rectangle base, because he seems to be very top heavy. And I'm afraid that he might, like, you know, if you put him onto like just a basic thing, he might kind of fall over. So, but it's in great scale, as you can see. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably pull out this peg. I don't like circle pegs, round pegs, and base for feet. I like my square pegs. Plus, looking at this, it probably only goes so far. I'm going to cut this out. I'll make my own peg on one foot. We'll put a magnet in the other. Plus, these keys are pretty deep too, so I think it should work out good what I want to do. So, what we want to make sure is when we pour in the resin into this, even though it's a non-stick pan, we don't want it to bond. We don't want the resin to bond this and not get it out because there's no give. And when I say give is when you're, you know, Mold Max 30, the pink molds that people make resin copies on for all that stuff, it's made to take resin and then pop it out easy. So there's no give on this and there's no give underneath, so that's a problem. So this is mold release. You use this for when you make a two-part mold, because what you do is you put an item in within clay and you pour your mold on there and you flip the box over, you pull out the clay so you have the item stuck in the mold, and then what you do is you spray this on there and you pour on the other side of your mold, so this way you can rip the mold in half and you can make your two-part mold. Now this is also good for when you want to make a, you know, like we're just pouring in resin in here and we don't want it to bond, so it's kind of like it's oil, so think of it as like WD-40 or PAM for when you're cooking. You know, it's like the same exact thing, same principle. But I need to get another can of mount. So what I want to do is I want to pour in the resin into here with a bunch of extra resin pieces, and then I want to be able to pop it out. Now, normally I would like to use baby powder, but I don't know how this is going to react with the baby powder and resin. It might be to the point where this bonds to it so much that I can't get it out. So we're going to use the mold release on it, but that's fine because even though there's going to be a mold release at the bottom of the base and the side, I'll be able to go outside and kind of sand it down and clean it up and get all that residue off, because I don't like mold release on resin copies because it's very, very hard to get primer onto them, especially if people go way crazy with this stuff. So that's one thing I don't like. But we're going to save on a lot of resin when I mix it up, because right here, this is a base for like an Akuma statue I did a few years back. Somebody had me paint out one. So the Akuma came with 2 bases, and this came with this really crazy elaborate base that didn't make sense for Akuma. So the client was like, keep the base. I completely forgot I had it in the garage. It was packed up in a box. So when I did my pre-summer cleaning, I found it. So while I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with this base, I went through my extra stuff. So I said, all right, this is perfect. So I cut off the corners, and now it fits into the base perfect. So that saves me, this is like almost 3 pounds worth of resin right here. It's very heavy. So that's saving me a lot on money wise of pouring in my resin. So what I could do is I could make a big cup of resin, pour it in, and then I could just plop this in there. And hopefully I get it to the point where the resin comes up to about the edge. So that'll be a nice, good, heavy base for him. So the problem though is I'm going to rig up a bar to pop it out, because I'm very worried that if I pour in the resin, I'll never get this out. So you need something to give you like some kind of a pull or a push. So I have this metal bar, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bend it here, then I'm going to bend it there, bend it. So this way it's going to create a handle for the base. So once I create a handle and it cures, what I'll be able to do is I'll probably be able to twist it, or I'll probably be able to pull it out. And then if I can get that pulled out, then I could just clip off the metal. It doesn't matter if there's metal kind of sticking in the resin, because I'm going to sculpt on top of it anyway. So I'm going to be able to pop this out, and then I won't have to worry about anything sticking. So as long as you have some way to kind of pry it out, you're good. Because I don't want to sit there with like a screwdriver and try to chisel around it and try to pry it out. Then I'm scraping this thing, because I want to be able to utilize this base down the line again. So it's a good experiment, and it's a good way of, you know, getting something out of the base if you're a little concerned. Plus, like I say, once you pop this out and you clip it, you can still, I'll be able to still use this for pegging and stuff down the line. So it's going to work out pretty cool. So hopefully when I get a chance, I'll get another bottle of this, and then what we're going to do is we'll mix up the resin right here on this table, because this table is all even. You really should be using it like, you know, when you do resin copies in a well-ventilated area. But in my garage, there's nothing as even as this table that I made this one. So I'll probably have the window open or whatever. I'll kick on this airbrush booth too, so it takes out fumes. And then once it kind of cures up, I can go and bring it into the garage. So it'll work out pretty cool. So that's where we're at. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a little better explanation of what I'm doing and what I came up with. And then once we get into that, we can start doing the sculpt work, we could prep them up, and then we could go to the paint work fairly fast, and we can get them done. Okay, let's see if this comes out. Hopefully it worked out pretty well. I used the last of my mold release on the can, so... Oh wow, okay, so came right out. So it's a little bit oily at the bottom, but I could get all that out, but we got a nice little base going. So we could do it one of 2 ways. We could leave it like this, or we could flip it around, but I think we're going to leave it like this because I like the angle coming up like that. But yeah, that worked out pretty good. So now I got something here where I can make bigger generic bases and make my life easier. But you know, it was just easier having that big chunk. So you could probably see it at the bottom here. You kind of see where that little square is. It's kind of there. And then what I did is I just threw a bunch of like you know, extra aged pieces I had laying around just to kind of fill it up as much as I could. But it's a really good, nice size base now, and we're going to work out pretty good. So what I'll probably do is, it's really hot now. It's really, really hot now because that's the way resin cures. So I'm going to go throw it into the garage, let it cool down for a while. And then whenever I get a chance, I'll clip this off and I'll clean out the sides, wipe it down, sand it down, wash it, you know, use some soap and water and stuff. And then after that, we can start focusing on getting him on the base and then start sculpting everything around it. Alright, so I had a bunch of extra A's tonight, and I just wanted to run with it before it started to harden up on me, so I really didn't do any filming with this, but at least you get an idea of what I'm doing with him and how it's going to look. I'm thinking as I'm working on this, how I'm painting it, and how I want it to, you know, not look like he's so ripped and muscular to the point where it looks like he's almost naked. You know, he's got to have some kind of outfit on. At least he does, because, you know, whenever he's depowered, he has an outfit on, but his face and hands turn into the blue when he's, you know, got the cosmic awareness. So this is what we're going for. So up here, you can see what I did with the lines with here. What I did is I jumbled out those lines that I drew, and then I threw in some A's and I scored it, because it's easier to do that, to score A's. And then once that A's is dried and cured by tomorrow, I could just sand it and smooth it out, and I got a scored line, and it's all even. I also filled in the star up here a little bit, because I want it to look like it's a star on the outfit. I don't want it to look like it's spandex, like, you know, within the outfit. Plus, he's so ripped, it's just, you know, we want to try to take some of that down a little bit. So what I did is I filled in the center of the star, and I filled in these little pieces over here. Then I filled out down here, because if I bring that star down, I need some kind of meat, because it's just so, he's so ripped there. It's like, oh, it's overly done. So I kind of want to take it down a little bit more. As I was working on him, though, I realized I think the left and right arm are actually attached here. I think they're casted separately, because this up here, when I sanded it, it's one color resin, and then when I sanded down around the crotch area, it's a different color resin. So I think what they did is, I think this is casted separate to this, and then they attached it, unless maybe they just poured in two different color resins because they didn't finish it. I don't know. But I think this is actually attached, though. And I think these arms are attached too, because there's this weird seam going within those, you know, parts over there, so I filled that in. Now, as far as the crotch area now, we're looking like it's a spandex outfit now. Before it looked like he had like a jock strap, or he had some kind of thong, like he was going for Chippendales. So we kind of taking that down now, because it just, we want to make it look like more of an outfit. So I sanded it down, and what I did is I filled in all these muscles around here, because they were just so ripped, you know. I like characters that are ripped, you know, when it calls for that character, but Genis isn't really this ripped guy. I mean, looking at his, like, leg, thigh muscles now, I mean, they're really, really big for him, but that's okay. We're going to just fill him down a little bit, maybe sand a little bit once it kind of cures up, and just kind of work out some detailing a little bit more. So then I'm thinking about, too, when I'm going to paint it, because a lot of this area will be shaded with black anyway. With the stars, it's a little bit easier to kind of shade it and make it look like it's got that, you know, cosmic awareness star field on him. So I did part of the back of him, but right now he's kind of like wobbly in the base, because I kind of just drumbled out like two little holes in there for the keys. We have to do some work, so I don't want to like mess him around now. Just kind of want to get it done. So now you guys got an idea of what's going on. So let this cure up, we'll sand it down, we'll do some prime work on him, so then you could probably see like how it all comes together. Because right now you might be saying like, well, I don't understand why you did all this with the red, but maybe when we prime it gray, you'll see a little bit more. Plus, you know, once we paint him up, it's all going to come together. Okay, so I had a chance to get into the garage yesterday and work on him. So what I did is I sanded him down, primed him up. I did some gray putty work. I sanded that down, and then I did my last prime work on him. So right now we're at that point where he's almost ready to go. So I just have to work out the star yet still. So I just did some blue mechanical pencil work. But when I got to here, the tip kept breaking off the pencil. So it's going to come down a little bit more, but I just kind of gave myself a guide. Now, the major part of the area was around the belly button crotch area. So by taking out the belly button, filling in this areas around here, to me it feels like now he's wearing a superhero spandex type outfit. Now, I know it's not really spandex with a lot of wrinkles and everything because of the way this item is sculpted, but it just feels a little bit more, I don't know, tuned up to me compared to whereas before, I'll be honest, it looked like he was wearing a thong going to a muscle competition. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I mean, if you guys are like that item and you own the statue and you like it, that's fine. You know, we all got our different opinions on this hobby, and that's the fun about it. So this was a kit. You get to do what you want. So after I talked to my friend about it, I showed him some things that I would change. He was down for it, so that's what we did. So honestly, let me know in the comments. Do you like it the way it is now at this point? or do you like the way it was in the beginning? You know, like I always say, what is there, like 20 to 50 of these made? Just because one of them's being changed, it's not the end of the world. It's going on his shelf, it's not going on yours or mine. So as long as he's happy with it at the end of the day and he likes looking at it every day, that's all that counts. And that's the great thing about the hobby. But this is what I went for. So I got a couple more things to go on him, just some fine tuning. I got to just add a peg into this foot here. I'm going to add a magnet to this foot here just so he doesn't wobble in and out of the base. Once I get that done and I tune up the star and put the hair on, we can start focusing on the base and we can start to do the paint work. Okay, one quick update before we start working on the base. The hair I got on there, so what I did is I rolled out Abe's and I rolled it around the hair, and then what I did is I put a bunch of glue up there and I squeezed the hair onto him like a helmet, and all the Abe's kind of squeezed out around there, but it went upwards and it went outwards. So when I cut out all the Abe's and I cleaned it up, I got a nice good seam going there, so it's not like it's floating on top of his head looking like a wig. So that's all set. Once I prime it up, it'll come together. Star is pretty much ready to go. All I did was, you might see some gray putty areas. I'm kind of like cleaning up some errors here and there. You can see a little bit more over here as well. And as far as the base goes, this peg is in here now. It's in the base. And I am finishing up the magnet here because there's a magnet in this foot. I just got to put a magnet in this base. But now when you move him, he stays with the base. So that's good. So what we'll do is we'll do a speed part of me getting the base all sculpted up. And after that, we'll do some speed parts of painting him up because I've done this paint up plenty of times before. And then after he's all done, we'll put him in the photo studio and we'll look him over. Okay, so one quick update before we start working on the base because it's in the garage right now and it's drying because I did a lot of filler primer to get rid of those like bubbles because I had little like pinhole bubbles and stuff at the bottom. So that's going to be worked on, but hopefully once you start working on it, it'll be all cleaned up and ready to go. But I decided to look over him one more last time, and I said, what the hell, we might as well fill in the butt area because it looked like he was wearing yoga pants back there. So wanted to go closer to like, Bowen Designs look back there, and I also found some other errors up there that I missed because those arms are attached. But once this is sanded down and everything, we get the paint work, it all come together. Okay, so here he is, all finished up. Right before paintwork, though, we decided to sand down the veins. So we did take out the veins on him just to make him a little bit more slimlined, so he feels a little bit in line with the comic book where he's not ripped now. So had a lot of fun. It's my favorite character. It's always great to kind of paint him up whenever I get a chance. Most of the time, it's always painting up for me because not a lot of people are really a fan of him. But it's kind of cool to paint it up for somebody else for once, even though I wish I could keep it, but I can't. But you know, at least. I got to paint it up for somebody else and it goes on their shelf. So I know, a lot of people will probably be like, well, I like it the way it is now, or I don't like it the way it is now. But it's up to you, it's like, it doesn't really matter. It's a garage kit. You get to do what you want once you get it in your hand, so you can do whatever you want with it. So getting a little bit closer, we'll break it down. See a little, I did a fast video on the paint work only because I've done a couple paint videos on painting Captain Marvel in the past, so I figured there's really no need to do another video on it. But you get a chance when you turn them around, the glossiness becomes brighter, and then some of the dark areas get darker, and you get to see the star field. So it works out pretty cool. Now, as far as the star on his chest and then the nega bands, you want them to be different. So this is a cosmic outfit. You want this gold to be more like a cosmic outfit, and then his bands are metal, so you want them to look metal. So you can see this is a pearlized gold in here, where this is alclad with a clear yellow over it to give it that cosmic feel. So you always want to make sure that's a little bit different. It's kind of, you don't want to be like, this is one gold and that's the same gold there. It kind of really doesn't work that well. At least that's kind of my opinion on how to do it. But you get to see all that star field in the back, and certain areas kind of pop out when you turn them, So a lot of fun. Really great working on him, so you can just see all that detailing. It's a really great sash. Like I said, I love it. I just tweaking it my way and how I would like to have it on my shelf, and then the client liked what I wanted to do. It worked out. So as far as the base now, it's lighter. It's a little bit more streamlined, so now it's going to fit in the best with his other items. We don't have to worry about that big base taking up all the space on his bestas or whatever shelf he's got, so you can fit more items. Now there's only one thing left to do. What we're going to do is take a picture at like that angle, something like about that angle. I'm going to take a picture, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some Photoshop work, and we're going to make up a black and white sticker underneath the base. So instead of actually taking artwork from a comic book or somebody else's art, we're going to take the item that I painted up, and we're going to utilize that as kind of like a sticker for the bottom of it. I won't have it in this video only because I needed to paint up the item first. So it's just some Photoshop work I'm going to do. I'll send it out to my friend in Canada, Meta John. He'll be able to make me a sticker for the bottom of it. And then it'll be kind of like a really nice one-of-a-kind garage kit painted up for somebody where it's customized and really no one else kind of has it. Because like I said, I think there's, 20 or 30 of these pre-painted from the factory. And then there's a couple that you get as a garage kit. So we took a garage kit and we customized it into a nice, good custom statue now where it separates from the rest of them. So it was a lot of fun. So like I always tell people, you can take a garage kit, you can take a pre-painted statue, and you can change it up and do whatever you want and make your own. You want to add snow, you want to make battle damage, you want to tweak the hair, you want to change the gun. It doesn't always have to be exactly what you get out of the box. You can always make it your own. So, like I said, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you guys like the changes? Do you like how it came out? Did you think it would have been better just to paint it up the way it was when I got it, just in hand? Or do you kind of like all the little bit of changes I did? So, there you go. That is Captain Marvel painted up. So, thanks for watching, and we'll be back with some more videos.